Hey, how's it going? Today I'm gonna be continuing a series of software development, and the next step we covered two steps already. Third step that would be overall process and how I would break down complete process of particular components of what would be required when developing a software. The next step would be data fetching, and I'll like to cover of what that is. Data fetching is a process of retrieving or obtaining data from source, typically a database, a remote server, a website, or some other data repository. So data fetching would refer to making a request, and that request should be completed by fetching a data, delivering data. It is fundamental operation in computer science and is critical for various applications and systems, including web applications, data analysis, research, and or more. Data fetching can involve retrieving a single piece of information or querying a large database. Overall, that would become more and more relevant to people out there who are looking to implement some of the software solutions for your business. And not as much perhaps in your personal professional life, but perhaps if you're looking to develop databases, and that would be part of the process, how you're going to maintain that database as well as how you're going to store that data on the database. You're gonna just put everything up there. Would you label that data in particular buckets, and you're gonna store it like that, as well as how you're gonna make requests for that data, and how those requests are gonna be completed. Sources of data. Data can be fetched from various sources, including database. So one of those sources can potentially be stored within a database, and you can make a request for particular data that would be stored within that database. Rational database, NoSQL databases, or another type of storage systems that are potential there, as well as APIs, applicational programming interfaces that I have covered already. But it's servers and platforms offer APIs that allow developers to fetch data programmatically. So just so those databases need to be able to talk to each other. So that's one of the obstacles with this particular way of doing it. Web scraping, extracting data from websites by pressing HTMLs and other web content files, reading data from files such as CSV, JSON, XML, or binary files, sensor data, collecting data from sensors, for example, IoT devices, Internet of Things devices, right? External services, retrieving data from third-party servers and data providers. So it can potentially be data that you might use different service providers of there. There are some technology companies that do offer those services, but I don't know how to do that securely, and some of the contracts out there that those service providers offer. Now let's take a look at methods of data fetching. SQL queries in the context of database structured query language (SQLs) is commonly used for fetch data using selected statements. So overall, what will be the process itself? HTTP requests for fetching data from web services and APIs. HTTP requests, i.e., GET requests, are made for specific endpoint. Oh, I can understand this very technical language when I'm talking about, unless you are within a space. To say the very least, yeah, everyone should understand this kind of process, so they would know how to do it themselves, even if it might be a daunting task, especially in the beginning. File I/O, reading data from files on the local file file systems, as well as web scraping libraries, Python libraries like Beautiful Soup and Scrappy used for web scraping, as well as data access libraries, libraries like Java database connectivity, open database connectivity, or object-related mapping frameworks simplify data fetching from databases. So if you need particular piece of information, well, what will be the process? How you're gonna extract that piece of information? You're gonna use your own servers. You're gonna use someone else's servers, as well as what will be the entire process. How you're gonna do it. Data itself can be in a different formats. Data fetching from different sources may be in various formats such as JSON, XML, CSV, or binary data. Depending on the source and the use case, data may need to be parsed and transformed into useful formats. Like that wasn't enough. Yeah, depending what kind of data you're gonna be looking at, just perhaps worth mentioning that it can be in different formats. Authentication and authorization. In many cases, data fetching requires authentication, and there are third-party software solutions for that. I'm not entirely sure how secure those are. I have seen those. I might be interested in perhaps trying using those, especially this week while I'm going to be doing it myself, as well as sharing some information of perhaps how secure and how reliable those software solutions can be. Uh, some of the authentication to access protected resources, API keys, tokens, and access control are commonly used to ensure the secure data access. It says it's secure, but from time to time I would receive an email of saying that large tech companies out there had leaked a lot of information for whatever reason that might be. So, since I think by the law, those companies are required to let everyone know that there is a chance that all the data was leaked. So it's just some of the obstacles in preventing those, especially when you something that you are looking to develop yourself. There are potentially, or you need to control full chain, right? And especially if there's going to be 3 or 4 different companies who offer different infrastructure solution, and perhaps edge computing being one of those, or any type of solution, right? So if there's going to be 4 companies and they need to talk to each other, none of them would potentially take responsibility for leaking any of your data. So that's a reality of the situation. I don't know. I know that. I will try to prevent that from happening in the first place. So perhaps reducing number of different companies being one thing, and as well as the way how they are monitoring that, perhaps worth mentioning. I don't know how we're doing on time, but is some of those things being barcodes, right? So barcodes, you can have internal or external barcodes, right? External, I have done enough research to understand that most of the time everyone sharing that information freely. External barcode, so even that I'm looking at my own data and how I would like to process that, I need to have internal system. But again, that would set me back by another 6 months if I wanted to develop it myself. If I will hire a team, I don't know how reliable the team and if they are able to deliver that. Otherwise, any person can scan the barcode and it's all information is there. So I don't know what preventive measures can be implemented, but I don't want to scare people up there who haven't developed or have looked at the different software solutions of that. But most of the time, the data up there is freely shared, right? Let's cover the rest of the topics. That will be error handling. Robust data fetching includes handling errors gracefully. This includes dealing with network errors, timeouts, data validation errors, and more within a timely manner. If there's anything I can add to that, as well as perhaps you would like to have a person on top of that. Some of the people out there during my market research, most of the people would say within the system we need to leave room for QA staff to make sure that errors won't gonna happen in the first place. To do that, even better having right programmers who can make sure that errors won't happen. But to prevent that, there might be QA as well as having person on site that would eliminate any errors within 30 minutes or so. So just something perhaps worth mentioning. Caching to improve performance and reduce the load on data sources. Fetching data is often cached locally, allowing sequential requests to be served from the cache in the data haven't changed. Real-time data. In some applications, data fetching needs to be real-time or near real-time to provide up-to-date information to users. So it's just something worth mentioning. For people out there who are interested in learning more, I have published a book. In this book, I'm focusing a lot on fitness, and I'm sharing all information for people out there who are interested in understanding a little bit better. If you do not have any knowledge, perhaps where to begin, how to approach fitness, where to begin working out, some of the areas that you should focus on, as well as progression. So from beginning, how to progress, it might require some of your attention, especially in the beginning, and over time, improvements that you can make, especially when approaching a very which can be very complex tasks of understanding nutrition, rest periods, as well as working out and lifting weights, different training, and perhaps developing your own body that I have shared everything in this book. You can find it in the description below, as well as Top Retailers has it. Data fetching is fundamental building block in many software applications, ranging from simple data retrieval tasks to complex data processing pipelines. It plays a crucial role in enabling applications to access and use data effectively and efficiently. Yeah, so perhaps worth mentioning, I don't know if I covered that already, legal framework. So when we are talking about data, for example, personal information and how that personal information to be stored depending on application, as well as where you're going to be using that application, how you're going to store that application. There are laws that prevent you, even if it's the same company, not necessarily uh, EU has certain regulations and US have certain regulations, right? Not necessarily you can't share that data externally. You need to protect that data and how you're storing it. There's something perhaps worth mentioning. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.